Welcome to Pario Magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by a cornerstone of the Australian wrestling landscape, both as a performer and an incredibly talented gear maker. Welcome to Pario Magazine, Savannah Summers.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So today's interview is a bit of a unique one in that we have two sort of sides of a creative passion to tackle. Obviously, firstly, in the ring as a wrestling performer, but then outside the ring making gear. How did this sort of journey all begin?
The wrestling journey or the gear journey?
We'll start on the wrestling side because I imagine you sort of got into that before making gear.
Yes, well, kind of, I guess. Yeah. I obviously, I just always loved wrestling growing up, and I wanted to do it as soon as I could, as soon as I was old enough. And once I found a company in Adelaide that had training and did shows, I joined straight away with Riot City basically, and I've been with them ever since. Well, I think when I turned 18 is when I joined. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, I still like it, and I'm still doing it. So that's always good. It's been a long time. And I think with the sewing side of things, the gear making, I actually did sewing when I was in high school, and really, really enjoyed it. Was quite good at it. I got good marks, good grades for my sewing. So I think I didn't get into it straight away with wrestling, but after a few years of finding people to try to make my gear, I finally just went, this doesn't seem like it would be that hard. I'm just going to give it a go. And that's what I did. And it worked.
Yeah, I guess
And
if
that's
you know how to make it, it's probably a lot cheaper to do it yourself as well, and you get exactly what you want.
Oh yes, a lot cheaper. And so obviously from the beginning I did it like I only made gear for myself, and making gear for yourself is a lot easier than other people, because you can just try it on as you go and change little bits here and there. And I already had so much gear that I had already accumulated that I could sort of copy and use as like an idea of where to go and how to go about it, because really I haven't had any professional training. I've not had no, real studying in sewing whatsoever. It's all completely self-taught. So I think I've done pretty good, but it's still just, at a amateur level.
And then obviously you went from making gear for yourself. Then how did it sort of expand to making gear for other people?
So I copied a few of my own outfits, and then like that I already had, and just kind of made them again in different fabrics. And then I finally, I think I cut up a dress and made a whole outfit for myself. And I got a lot of comments, a lot of people, because I think everybody in wrestling is constantly trying to find people who make gear. It's really hard to find places, especially in Australia. I think there's just not, as there's nowhere. You've got to find like dance places and stuff like that that can make wrestling gear, or just find pieces yourself that you can put together and make it an outfit. So a lot of people started commenting and asking me where I got it made, and how I went about it, and all of those sorts of things. And so when I would tell people that I made it myself, they were pretty impressed, and they're like, oh, maybe you could make something for me. So I didn't straight away, because I thought, oh, that sounds, I don't want to, there's too much pressure. I don't want to put all that pressure on me of like your outfit, if I'm going to be able to make it right, and all those sorts of things. So I didn't straight away, but I think after I had made a few more outfits for myself and I felt confident making my own, I I brought it up with Riot City. I just said, oh, I'm keen to just maybe make something basic. If anybody wants just some like trunks, something simple, I'm happy to give it a go. So I think it was Chris Basso at the time. He just wore shorts. That's what he was wearing, like tights. But he just said, why don't you try making me a pair of shorts, and we'll see how they go. And he could give me one of his pairs he already had, so I could just copy it. So that made it really easy, and then that went really well. So from there, I just started doing more and more and more, but very basic stuff to begin with. I didn't want to do anything too complicated and make it hard for myself or disappoint someone if I couldn't quite get it right. So, but yeah, it definitely didn't take long. Once people could see that I could make stuff, everyone would just jump on it, because they're like, you're here, I can actually come and see you and talk to you and explain to you what I want. And if it's not quite fitting right, I can just, give it back to you to take in a little bit or fix up a little bit. It's not like you have to then post it off and bring it back, and it's too much work. So it was just very convenient for a lot of people, which helped.
Yep. Has that sort of developed now into a little solid side hustle that's continuing?
Yes, definitely. It's I feel like I really enjoy it. I get something out of it. I love, like, it's a lot of time and effort, to be fair, but when you see someone wearing an outfit that you made, it is really nice. It makes you feel like really good inside. You're like, I made that. And then sometimes there'll be like a whole show where nearly everyone is wearing outfits that I made, and that's really, like, it warms my heart. That really makes me feel good. So it's sort of worth it in the end, even though it can be a lot of stress and a lot of hours. I feel like it is worth it. Just like with wrestling, like, you put a lot of time and a lot of effort and there's a lot of stress, but when you finally have a match and you can, like, look back and see your match and it's a good match and you really enjoyed it, no one got hurt, it makes you feel so good inside, and so you keep going back and doing it again and again, and it's the same thing, really. But
Yep.
but yeah, I've definitely grown. Like, I do a lot of outfits for people interstate, and even a few overseas, and even a few of the girls that have been signed with NXT. I've continued to make their outfits for a while they were there, and so that's really nice to see my, like, outfits that I've made on TV, and you're like, oh wow, it wasn't that good, but they obviously think it's all right, so that makes me happy.
Yep. Yeah. If someone thinks it's good enough for TV, it must be pretty good.
Yeah. Must be all
Um,
right.
you sort of mentioned starting quite simple. How complex have they grown over the years? And is it more like as a personal creative challenge that you've gone down that more difficult, complex route?
No. I definitely still prefer the simple stuff because it's so much easier and less stress. I have tried to expand my horizons, and I did go and do a little bit of training to learn some basic stuff, like how to put a zip in properly, and that sort of thing, like little things that I'm like, it'd be nice to know how to do everything properly, even though you can look it all up on Google these days
Mhm.
and learn how to do things, which is handy. um, I still want to expand further, but it's hard because I work full time. I do wrestling on the side. So I've just got into a relationship, so that takes up a lot of time as well. And then sewing. So it's like all my time. Um, Hopefully, like, I definitely started off with just plain fabrics, like, just a plain pair of trunks, and you try to find some patterned fabric so it looks a little bit special. And I have expanded to where I can now do a couple of different colors, and I can put some writing in there and, like, your name or something like that. But I'm still not, too confident to go too complicated. So I still tell people, if they want something really over the top, fancy, or they want a big, lion head on the back of their top or something, maybe go somewhere else.
Yep. What have been some of those unique challenges that you've had to overcome in gear making? Like, are there weird fabrics that
Um,
that people ask you to use?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Lately I've been getting a lot of, like, fur stuff that people want, and fur can be a little bit more complicated because it's thicker, so you need different needles and different technique to get through it all, and then you end up with just fluff everywhere. So that's a whole nother story. But I would say, yeah, definitely different fabrics, and probably a lot of people are really into studs and stuff now, or eyelets, and they can be like a little bit difficult to work out, but I'm getting there slowly. And I think just different sizing with people. Like it's easy for me to make my own stuff, like I said, because I can try it on. And quite often if I get women that are like similar size to me, even just a bit smaller or bigger, I can still base it off me, which is like nice and easy. But when you get like a guy who's just huge, you're like, all right, how am I going to make this work? and
Yep.
it takes a little bit of like, trial and error. But I'm all for it. I do like to try new things, and I like to put it out there. And then once you do it, it's then easier to do it again. So the more you just do it, like anything, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So then once I do someone that's really big, I've got those patterns and I can reference those patterns again, and it makes it easier for like other guys down the line, which is good.
Yep. And looking in from the outside as just a fan, I feel like an incredible set of gear can really elevate someone's character and performance to another level. How important do you feel a good high quality set of gear is for a performer?
Oh yeah, definitely. Really, really important. I think it's easy to just start off basic and just get your foot in the door and have the simple stuff. But once you've been in it for a while, and if you really want to make a statement and really want to stand out, you have to have something that's a little bit above and beyond. And quite often when I'm making gear, people will have their ideas, but sometimes in my head I just see it a little bit different, or I'll feel like we could just push the envelope a little bit more, and I'll be like, why don't we just add this, or what do you think about this? And quite often they're very keen, or they'll just let me do whatever I want. And I kind of like that. I kind of like just having creative like influence on the gear, and just my creative juices flowing. It's really nice.
Yep. And then in July, we have the World Series Wrestling Tour returning to South Australia with a big Adelaide Oval show. I imagine you're getting some requests for some over-the-top gear for that show.
Yes, well, I think anytime there is a big show coming up, everyone goes crazy, and everyone loves to leave it to the last minute. So it's like, 2 weeks out, and everyone will be like, oh my God, I need gear. And then I'm always too nice, and I just say yes to everyone and then stress myself out. But that's all right. I don't mind. Or I just say no. But yeah, I think I've already had a couple of like requests, or people just putting the feelers in, like, oh, just letting you know I might want this by this date, but I'm still deciding, or I'm still working it out. So I think there'll be some great outfits on that show for sure. I do feel like though there may be less Australian wrestlers on this show. All the big names coming over, sure, but I feel like they're going to be using less wrestlers from each state this time, and more of just their core guys that they're bringing over, which is good. It'll be a good fun show. Like they're always fun to go to, but I'm not sure how many of the RC Dub boys will be on the show. We'll see.
Yep. And over the years, you've obviously made a lot of gear. Is there a favorite piece that you've had to make?
Oh, probably. I feel like I always have favorites, but then I do like another set, and then that becomes my favorite, and then I do something again, and then that becomes my favorite, because you're always sort of one-upping it. But definitely I would say when I made matching gear for me and Blair Alexis, that was a lot of fun. I surprised her with that, so that was just a gift from me, because I was like, we always tag together and I really wanted us to team and match, so I was like, surprise, matching gear. And so now I love that when we can pull out our matching gear, and I know I put it together. It's like a special feeling, because it's just like for me, so it's nice. But other people's gear, probably making the World Class Egos matching gear when they won the titles. That was really nice. That they definitely went a little bit more complicated, so like I had to push a little bit. Then I had to make 2 sets of the same thing, and they're different sizes, so I couldn't just copy and paste basically. But it was good. And then they did the jackets, and that was like the first time I made like a robe, which was like nice. So it all came together really well, and it's always nice to see. And then when they win belts, you know, wearing your gear, that's always nice.
Yep, those are going to be photos that stick around forever. They're not going to be just
Yeah,
disappeared
they're the
because they're
ones
such a
I put up.
milestone.
Yeah, that's it.
And then on the wrestling side, what initially drew you to this art form and career?
Um, I really don't know. I think it was just I found it when I was really young. I've just found it on TV by myself. I don't have brothers. My dad wasn't into wrestling, so I discovered it all by myself and just fell madly in love. I think it was just the athleticism of it all, plus the entertainment side of it and the characters, like all coming together. I was always very athletic and sporty growing up, and then seeing the extra art of it, you know, with the characters and everything, it really just drew me in. And I, from the very first time I saw it, I think I just knew this is my thing. Like I've discovered it, and this is what I need to do with my life. And so it never went away. Like a lot of people grow out of their childhood dreams, I think, but I turned 18 and I still went after it. I was like, no, this has to happen because I still love it and I still want it to be part of my life. So I chased it down, and I think I fulfilled pretty much everything I wanted to do. I just wanted to be a wrestler, and I still get to do that, you know, all the time. So I think I'm very lucky.
Yep. And obviously, you've been involved in the wrestling industry in Australia for a number of years, crossing paths with essentially everyone on the female side that's gone on to do anything big. Madison Eagles, Jessie McKay, Shazza McKenzie, Cassie, Rhea, Tony Storm, who was a big one, a special moment today. How does it feel to sort of be a cornerstone of the women's wrestling scene in Australia?
Yeah, it's really nice. It makes me feel old. But in a
That's not
nice
what I meant
way.
to do, sorry.
No, it's all right. It's funny when people send me messages and they're like, oh, did you ever work with this person? And I'm like, I was actually around for many years before this person even, you know, came into Australian wrestling. But it's nice that they don't see me as being that old, so they don't realize that. But yeah, I was around before all of them basically. So it's nice that I have been able to then work with all of them coming through and see them go on to amazing things like they are all doing. And I still think many more girls that we have now in Australia will still go on to do amazing things in the world of wrestling. We have some great talent down here, and it's so nice that we are finally being seen and recognized more than ever, because back when I started, nobody cared about Australian wrestling, and we had to work our butts off to get it to where it is today. So I'm happy that even if I didn't get to, you know, make it to the big stage, that we have been able to, you know, lay the path for the girls coming through and the men coming through today. It's really nice.
And are there any sort of particular girls in South Australia at the moment that you look at and go, oh, there's a big future ahead for this person?
Oh yes, definitely. I would say Delta. If you've seen her, she's only been around about a year and a half, and she's already, you know, making waves. She's been traveling all around. She's a powerhouse, and she looks the part, and she's got the charisma and the look, and she's amazing. And it's just been a bit sad that the whole pandemic has sort of put a hold on things a little bit with her, because I think by now she probably already would have gone to the States and done a lot of stuff. So hopefully soon she can get over there and show everyone what she's got. But in the meantime, she's doing amazing things over here and absolutely killing it. And I'm just sad that she's gone into the men's division and I don't get to beat her up anymore.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
That's it. Once in a while I get to.
And obviously, having worked so many people, are there still dream matches out there that you would like to have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's in a couple of weeks I get to wrestle Lena Cross, which will be nice because I've never wrestled her. So I'm looking forward to that. And I still haven't had a one-on-one with Jessica Troy, so maybe that'll get to happen one day. She still seems to be in Australia a fair bit, so I'm, fingers crossed. There are still quite a few out there, I think, in Australia that I haven't had a chance to, and I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon, so I'm sure it'll happen. I'm staying positive anyway. Anyone
Yep.
that I haven't
Well,
wrestled.
well, if history's any case, if Jessica's going to go on to do anything big, she has to go through your doorstep first.
Exactly. Would be nice before she does. So I'm sure she will get signed at some point. To any company would be like lucky to have her. So yeah, it'd be nice to at least get one singles in first.
Yep. And then looking ahead, what else is on the horizon for yourself in 2022? Obviously, both as a wrestler and a gear maker.
Well, I plan on holding both the belts that I have now. I want to hold for as long as possible. I am the longest reigning Warzone champion now. Unfortunately, that was mostly because of the pandemic, but I will keep holding it for as long as I can. I am the RCW Women's Champion, and I want to become the longest reigning. I still have to hold it for a little bit longer yet to get that title. So I used to have it, so that's why I want to get that title back. Fingers crossed. I can. I think it's about maybe 3 or 4 more months, and then I'll have my longest reigning title back for that one. I am set to wrestle for the Power Slam Women's Championship, the inaugural champion. So fingers crossed, I can maybe add another belt to the list and be a 3-belt champion. That would be nice because I've never done that. So it'd be nice to tick, that off the list. And just, more travel and like I said, wrestling anyone that I haven't wrestled yet. I'm always keen to wrestle new girls and guys, but I love the girls. So anyone new coming through that I haven't wrestled, or even old that I haven't wrestled, I would just love to get in the ring with them and see where things go. I am getting older, so I probably can't do this forever, even though I want to. So I have to tick them all off quick smart, that's for sure.
Yep. Well, now that the borders and everything's back, we can get you back all over the country as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly right. And with the sewing, I think I will just continue doing what I'm doing, and hopefully if I could get more free time on my hand, I can start developing, more complicated designs and expand a little bit more with what I'm doing, like in the way of jackets and things like that, accessories, little things like that. I'd love to expand more. It's just about having time, not enough hours in the day, unfortunately.
Yep. And at least with that gear making side, when the in-ring career is over, you can stay involved in the world of wrestling in that side.
Yes, definitely. I definitely would. And I have always said that because I'm definitely would always want to stay part of wrestling in some way, because it is like, it's part of my soul. So it's nice that I can still be involved, and they'll still want me around.
Yep. Okay, so finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track this creative journey moving forward?
Yeah, definitely just all the social medias. So Facebook, Savannah Summers, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube. I think that's all of them. All of the social medias, Savannah Summers, sometimes with the 5s instead of the S's, but I think you can just look up Savannah Summers and I'll come up, and you can follow me and see what I'm up to.
Yep. And are those the best places for people to contact you, for like wrestlers to contact you if they want gear made as well?
Yeah, I have a page for my wrestling gear called First Lady Wrestling Gear that you can check out and send messages to. But you really can send me messages to any of my socials, and I will eventually see them and get back to you.
All right, perfect. I'll put the links to both of those in the article and this video. So thank you for taking the time, and good luck with everything. And we'll see you up here in New South Wales shortly.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.